In 1983, Apple was developing the first Mac, and some employees were losing faith. At an off-site retreat, Jobs sought to motivate with this adage, reminding them, as pirates, they were free from bureaucracy and able to take more risks in order to strive for greater rewards. His assertion is understandable. Consider how difficult decision-making can be within the bureaucracy of the U.S. Navy, which resides within the more complex U.S. Department of Defense, that is housed within the U.S. government, the largest bureaucracy in the world. While there can be good reasons for creating a bureaucratic government, the rules enacted by bureaucracies can be taken too far, and leaders may be so indoctrinated they cannot see outside of the overwhelming maze. The result can be the inability for the organization to respond when needed. For example, since 2001, the number and changes in military situations around the world have caused such an increase in U.S. missions that the decision-making process has ground to a halt. The results have been distressing for employees when purchasing the needed technology for new missions. To become more agile and to adapt to a changing world stage, technologies, and evolving societies, the Department of Defense has made cutting red tape a priority, declaring to be successful, this will be a never-ending, diligent effort. Is it any wonder, then, that Jobs wanted his team to be pirates, freed from the bureaucracy of the rules and structures within Apple? It makes me ponder, is it true? The only way to make something new successful is to completely leave the existing system? If you developed your own process, must you leave all you have known before? Is it truly better to become a pirate? I believe the answer is it depends. We are all unique and perform differently than anyone else. A cookie-cutter process cannot work for everyone and every situation. We can look to known processes and even principles for guidance, but it is always best to intentionally choose those elements that enhance our lives versus blindly following them in a herd mentality. Choosing to create your own process, whether it is completely unique or blends with tried and true methods, allows us to maximize what we are able to do. To do this, each of us must reflect on who we are, what we want to achieve, and how we work best. Becoming that best version of ourselves is the highest work we can achieve. I bet Captain Chelsea Sullenberg would agree. On January 15, 2009, he was piloting U.S. Airways Flight 1549 as it took off from LaGuardia Airport en route to Charlotte. Within the first 100 seconds, a flock of geese collided with the plane, disabling both engines. Captain Sully Sullenberger, with 42 years of Air Force and commercial flying experience, knew this flight would be like nothing he had ever trained for. Without a word between them, the first officer, Jeff Skycles, took over the checklist for the engine restart, and the captain took over the control of the plane. Sully knew the checklist well enough to see ahead and took 2 remedial actions that would be handled too late if he only stuck to the checklist. He turned on the engine ignition and the airplane's auxiliary power. He needed those actions to be effective immediately, so he could focus on how he would influence the way this plane would intersect with the Earth a few minutes later. The plane was over New York City. 2 airport runways at 2 different airports were made available, but Sully knew they could not make it to either airport. The last option in the most developed metro area in the world was the Hudson River. Sully made his choice. The airplane was descending like an elevator at 2 floors per second. The last critical step for Sully was to raise the nose of the airplane to slow the descent and get in the best possible position before the plane hit the river. The water was missing all the features a pilot would have on an airport runway, so the ability to judge when and how to land the plane was difficult. Again, wordlessly, the 2 pilots worked together. Jeff Skycles started calling out airspeed and altitude, so Sully could focus on the water and the horizon. About 5 minutes after taking off, the plane landed hard and some were seriously injured, but all 155 passengers and crew survived the landing. By the time Sully left the plane after everyone else had already escaped to the wings, the New York waterway ferries had arrived to move everyone to safety. The situation was unique and certainly not anticipated by any process, regulation, or procedure. Yet, as you can see, Captain Sullenberger pulled from his 42 years of experience, assessed what was useful, and moved creatively to the solution. He and Jeff Skycles adapted to each step in the situation by using existing procedures and creating new processes as needed. This developing process was not something that just happened in those 5 minutes or even that day. At the 2010 National Press Club Authors Night, Sully said to write his memoir Highest Duty, he had to have an insightful survey of my life and all the important events and all the people who were with me that day. It all helped me synthesize a lifetime of experiences to solve a problem I'd never seen before, along with my crew. We can understand how Sully can be a hero when breaking the rules to manage a life-threatening situation. However, since few of us will ever be in that situation, are we justified in breaking rules or not going along with the system in place? Does it matter if those of us in mundane situations become pirates?